HDR on air. I have Fayette County Commissioner Vince Vicites here today. We're going to do an interview. He's campaigning and he's an incumbent, and he's going to tell you what he wants you to know about his platform and what he wants to bring to the county. I also set up on Facebook, Vince. I put a message out earlier that if anybody wants to IM us on our Hutch's page, that they can do some live. If anyone caught my live set I put out earlier, we might get some participation from the audience.
Good.
We'll find out. Okay.
That's good.
Okay, let's see how this rolls. Okay, Vince.
Hi.
Shoot.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to come on the air with you, to all the Facebook audience. And I'm Vincent Vicites. I'm running for re-election to Fayette County Commissioner. And I believe that my candidacy brings dedication, experience, and leadership that is badly needed in the county. We're at a time in our county where our economy is getting better. Our unemployment rate has gone down in the last 3 years from 9% to 5%. And we've dropped more than any county in southwestern Pennsylvania. And we have to keep that momentum going. We have an opportunity.
To expand on what you said, now how many years have you been county commissioner?
This is my 19th year.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
You said we're desperately in need of leadership. You've been a leader.
Continued leadership.
Good. That's
there you
this
go.
is what I'm trying to get across. So
Yeah.
people watching this
I'm
understand.
talking about leadership for the future.
Granted,
That's what
granted.
I was meaning by that. But, we're moving on all fronts in the county. Our economy is getting better. Economic development opportunities are expanding. We've had a lot of expansions in our existing businesses. We've brought some new ones in the last couple of years, but a lot of existing businesses are expanding, and that's really helping drop our unemployment rate. We've had COE distributing expand. We've had Contact US expand. We've had Columbia Gas expand with their phone technology center. We've had Black Diamond Equipment come into the county, and that's affected our unemployment rate. It's dropped it significantly. And we have a lot of existing expansions that are going to come online here in the next year and a half, and that will drop our unemployment rate further. We have Boeing expanding. We have Heranix Corporation expanding. And those types of, we have Heartland Fabrication expanding in Brownsville, and I think that'll continue to steadily drop our unemployment rate.
Well, this is good. I own a restaurant. I own a business. I know a lot of people that own businesses. Now, granted, I'm in the hospitality field, and it's a different sort of animal than what you're talking about. But I find it's hard to find people that are wanting, well, that are trainable, that want to be trained, that can pass drug tests. How can we build this? We need to do something to build the infrastructure as far as not only the people, but not only the roads and the rails and everything, but the people. Do we have anything planned to like help train people?
I think workforce development is the key.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've been working very hard on that with the WIB board, the Workforce Investment Board, the Business Education Partnership through the Chamber of Commerce. The commissioners have been really active in that effort. We appoint the board members to the Workforce Investment Board. We've got a good group of people working with them. It's a partnership between Westmoreland County, who's been very successful with their economy. We're working hand in hand. We've seen some progress there. We just yesterday cut the ribbon for a CDL training school at the Connellsville Airport.
I saw that the Douglas Education Center.
Yes, they're one of our business schools in the region. We have several in Fayette County as well, Laurel Business Institute, and few others that are focusing on, getting people prepared for the jobs that are available now and the jobs that will be available in the future. That's very critical
Yeah,
to this effort.
Yeah,
And our CTI schools are really stepping up. They're interfacing with businesses that need employees, and they're doing apprenticeships with the businesses.
do you deal with that from the county commissioner standpoint at all?
Yes, I regularly visit our CTI schools, and I talk to the administrators there, and understanding what the needs of the businesses are. I've contacted several businesses for them to get them hooked up and get them working together with the help of our funds that we have for the Workforce Investment Board. I think we're making significant progress. This CDL training, we've developed it where we have funding to educate these people that are interested in this through grants, so they don't have to pay the tuition. They can get into a 9-week program.
They have an actual truck up there?
Yeah, yeah. They use the old runway that's no longer in use, and it's a large cemented area, and they have an 18-wheeler up there, and they have training classes with instructors to educate them on getting their CDL licenses. And I saw a real need for that. I actually got a call from Douglas Business School a couple of months ago, and they said, we had heard that there was a truck driving school at the airport several years ago, and there was with Carnegie Mellon University. A little bit different scenario. It wasn't to train for CDLs, but it was a truck driving training course to improve their skills at being a truck driver, not necessarily the certification aspect. And I said yes, there was, and they were interested in using that because they thought maybe there was still a skid pad up there from that, and unfortunately they took that out. But we gave them a tour of the facility and gave them a chance to interface with the airport authority, and it worked. It developed into quite a successful training program that's been set up. A lot of help from the WIB board with the funds available. Our redevelopment authority acted as the pass-through for those funds that we had awarded in a previous round of our local share account funding. That's for the gambling proceeds, and we were able to put that together. And they're even going to have some night classes for people that work during the day and can't get there to do the training because they have another job. So,
hey, that's all promising. That's what I've had this kind of back and forth kind of debates with you on Facebook a couple of times about having to bring new businesses in, that we need more jobs than we do. I mean, I'm up for anything. Anything's an improvement. I mean, I go for anything, but I've been here so long. I've lived my whole life here. I'm 56 years old.
We're in that same age group.
Well, and we see what's going on.
Yeah, I really think Fayette County is moving on all fronts. We're doing better economically. Our tourism is maximized at this point. We're using our hotel tax funds very efficiently, and we're promoting our tourism efforts internally better than we ever have. Laurel Highlands tourism brings people to the region, 2 million plus people a year. We're focusing on getting them here, having them stay longer, visit more sites, patronize more businesses. We're just about to open a tourist visitor center in Connellsville.
I was going to say,
Yes.
Uniontown seems to be the hub for lodging around here, though. I mean, what for the tourism, what are we going to do for the rest of the county to kind of Uniontown and the High Pile and the certain for necessity and all the amenities we have? Certainly, they do benefit, but what can the rest of the county do to benefit from tourism?
I think you just have to better coordinate it internally, and we've been giving out funding to any nonprofit or private for-profit business that wants to promote their business. If they submit a tourism grant and they need promotional funding, we give them that. It's not a difficult form to fill out. It's just you have to convey in writing your plans and your costs for your plans and why you want to do these types of things to promote tourism.
Now, I'm in the restaurant field, which is a little bit different. But see, I never heard of that. I don't know where. See that I think a lot of these plans need to get out there, need to be more exposed.
We've got as much media, free media coverage as we can with it. It's on our website. It's on our Redevelopment Authority website, the Chamber of Commerce website, the Laurel Highlands Tourism Bureau website. And we want to spend those dollars locally to help promote tourism and give the businesses an opportunity to promote and contribute to that tourism effort once they come here.
I'm harping on
to the
this right
Laurel
now
Highlands.
because I think this is worthwhile, and I'm trying to draw out of you. So if anyone's listening to this, or the people that will be listening to this, will take advantage of this.
Absolutely, we highly recommend it, and we've given out hundreds of grants since the fund was established, from all kinds of tourism related businesses and historical societies and recreational tourism
Well, what other
type
kind of
of
incentives for local businesses
companies.
are we talking here, other than tourism? Like, what kind of other grants or incentives does the county offer for the local guy?
The other type of funding, which isn't tourism related,
Right.
is the local share account. We do get 5% of the proceeds from the Lady Luck Casino. We get 5%. Wharton Township gets 5%,
Okay.
and we distribute all those funds. Usually, we get about between $500,000 and $600,000 a year, depending on what the 5% share was, and we distribute all those funds throughout the entire county. And there again, it's an application process. We have a review committee. They decide, who gets the funding. With the hotel tax grant, there has a review committee, and we try to give out as many grants as we can to help bolster our efforts in good, solid community projects. Very good projects for economic development. We try to leverage the funds so we get the most most bang for the buck, so to speak,
Bang
out
for
of
the
the
buck.
dollars.
Okay. Well, we've kind of scratched the surface of the current fiscal management and what you're doing to promote things currently. But what do you see in the future? What would you like to bring new to the county? That is there anything that, like, we've talked about things that already exist and how they're growing? Do you see anything that could be out of left field? Something that I mean, do you have anything in your back pocket that you might want to throw out there to help you get a couple of votes or something?
Well, I think the focus has to be on economic development. We can correct a lot of the problems we have in Fayette County if people can get a good family-sustaining job. And I think we're on the right track. We work in a public-private partnership with our economic development agency, FAPEN. We have the redevelopment authorities in Connellsville and Uniontown, and the Fayette County Redevelopment Authority. They're all doing very good things to revitalize Fayette County. And I think everything kind of interrelates to everything else. Recreational tourism is important. Look how that's helped revitalize Connellsville with the bike trail down there.
100%.
And if we can get that bike trail connected from Connellsville all the way through Fayette County to the West Virginia line and Point Marion, we'll have the missing link of two trail systems.
Is that the
great
sheepskin?
Yes, the Sheepskin Trail. And the Great Allegheny Passage will be connected to the trails in West Virginia that go from Morgantown to Parkersburg.
How
West
close are
Virginia.
these connections to fruition?
We have about 10 miles of the Sheepskin Trail built, and we have several more in the planning stages. We're just, every grant round we can get funds, we do another section, and we're just building, we're mounting that effort. We have it built from Connellsville into Dunbar Borough. We have it built in South Union Township. We're in the planning stages in the North Union, Dunbar area. Uniontown has done a study and are ready to, get to construction. From South Union to Fairchance is well underway, and it's they're planning the construction of that area. And We're also constructing a section on the other side of Point Marion in Spring Hill Township. So we have a lot of activity going on right now to build this trail.
So
That'll help. I mean, it'll be a spoke in the wheel for economic development.
people that can't visualize this is kind of like what you've done with the Mon Valley Expressway, only for cyclists.
Yes, it's building roads, building and building
Connectivity.
bike trails. It takes time, but we were able to get them. And in the early years of my career, we had no 4-lane divided highway that ran from north to south in our county. And that's what you need to bring your goods and services. And any company that does any type of manufacturing or goods and services, they need a good highway to get the goods in. And now we have $1 billion worth of highway built through Fayette County. When the other counties were not focused, we were, and we got it done. And that is going to help Fayette County's future tremendously. We also, when I took office, we didn't have very many site-ready business parks. Now we have a site-ready business park on Route 40, the Fayette County Business Park. We have a site-ready business park at the Penn State, near Penn State, the Technology Park. We have the Dunbar Township Business Park that's site-ready. You have to have the infrastructure in there to
Right.
get them to come in quickly.
What kind of capacity do we have in these parks? I mean, how much vacancy is there?
The Fayette County Business Park filled up rather quickly. That was my idea back in the late 90s to help towards our economic development efforts. And it was a cornfield in the late 90s. Now it's, I call it a mini South Point. It developed well. It has hotels. It has different business. 45 different businesses are in there. There's a lot of medical facilities. There's a retail component to it. But in all, it took us about $17 million to infrastructure it, and we were able to get state and federal funds to do that. Once we got the infrastructure in, we were able to bring in $100 million in private investment to the county, 45 businesses, and we were able to create over 1,000 jobs in that park. Now, we have about 10 acres left, and we want to expand that park, keep that moving forward on, the development of that type of niche,
I'll give you credit. I see a lot of development. I see a lot of growth. That for a long time it was very stagnant, and I do see growth. But
you had to build a foundation first. You had to have the
Exactly.
highways. You had to have the business parks.
Right.
You had to, provide the right incentives to bring people here, like that bike trail. One of the things we're finding out. That's one of the main questions employers ask. What type of recreational opportunities do you have in your
Sure.
county for a good quality of life? Because they don't want to relocate here and bring employees here if there's no recreational opportunities. They look at that. They look at our education system, our schools, and they look for incentives if they can find them. And we have those as well. We've been able to use effectively different state programs so we could compete against other counties and other states to bring people in.
yeah,
But anyway, we're looking to expand the Fayette County Business Park even further over to Northgate Highway. I don't know if that's the Mon Fayette Expressway, the backside of the Mount Macrina property. We were able to get another $500,000 in seed money. We're going to start out building a 30-acre business park there. This is all through the Redevelopment Authority. Like we had handed it off to them in the late 90s to develop the Fayette County Business Park. But the commissioners appoint the board members to the Redevelopment Authority. And, we're very active with that park, and we want to see that development and job creation and private investment continue into the future. And we're partnering with the Redevelopment Authority and Mount Macrina. They want to sell the land. They're interested in creating a legacy there at Mount Macrina for the future. I really am excited about it because the land is very level back there, and there's you come right off of Old Pittsburgh Road and you go right into the site. So I think we can keep the ball rolling with commerce type, commercial type development over there. I don't think there'll be much retail component because that isn't in Mount Macrina's mission, but I think we can continue that really the medical facilities were quite. We play a 15 in the current park, and we think we can keep that trend going over on the Mount Macrina property with them having a nursing home there already, and so there'll be a natural fit for those types of facilities and other types of commerce type, maybe some educational, maybe even a senior citizen community if somebody would be interested in developing one.
Pennsylvania is big on donating their funds to the senior citizens, but that ever since the lottery came out and they were like benefit senior citizens, I always thought, well, that's nice, but how about something for the younger people to keep the younger people here? That's just my always been my
Well,
beef.
I think we have the trend in the future is going to be a lot the skilled trades.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of opportunity here in Western Pennsylvania. There's going to be a tremendous demand for skilled trades in the future. So if we can train them and get them really focused at our CTI schools, our business schools, the Laurel Business Institute and Douglas, and we can have a lot of demand for jobs right here and keep our young people at home. Also, we have a great asset in Penn State Fayette campus. They have more 4-year degree programs. So our young people, they get to 4 years, they stay here the whole time, and they find a job locally. We have the jobs out there now. We actually, when I first took office, we had more people than jobs. Now we have more jobs than people. So there is opportunity. Just have to be.
Is that because people leave the area though?
No, our
I'm not trying to.
Well, that's a good question. It's a fair question. We did lose a significant amount of population in the last census, but I have a good pulse of the census thing. We're doing a complete count committee, and I look for our at the very worst, I think our population is stabilized now, and we're only going to be on the upswing in the future. I really believe that as we continue to develop the county, I think we're going to see our population go back up again. And in this census, I would say it probably won't. If we lose any, it'll be minimal. And like I said, I think we're stabilized now. We actually found through a meeting with our fire departments out in Bullskin Township that census maps are not correct. So they were actually counting people in Westmoreland County. There were Fayette County residents. So we lost people to Westmoreland County because the census maps weren't correct. So we're doing an analysis of all the census maps to make sure that we count every household in Fayette County that's within our county borders.
This has all the makings of us taking this to another level. Speaking of not counting people and get their votes or whatever, but I don't want to go there.
Well, let me give you an example. You go up 31. A lot of people think that the left side of 31 is Westmoreland County. There's actually Fayette County households in there.
Okay,
but the census maps don't reflect that. They think they use the boundary of 31, and anything on the left side of 31 they put them in Westmoreland County. So we're going to make sure those get corrected, so we get to count every single household. And nobody was aware of this until we talked to the fire department, because they weren't getting calls for fires. They were calling Westmoreland County because of the way those maps were.
So people's homes were burning down because nobody would come.
No, they were the firemen from Westmoreland. Were taking care of it.
Yeah, sure.
But they really that's what brought the subject to a head.
Yeah.
They said they should be calling us because those are in Fayette County, and then they rolled the census maps out, and the census maps didn't reflect that. It's like, wait a second here, we got to get this corrected because we have a census coming up. So,
I don't want to bring any of this to my. I try not to reflect anything personally on these interviews with whoever I do, but a couple people that this just rolled into one of the questions that somebody asked me to ask you about. They had a 911 call and they weren't happy with the 911 service. Is the 911 service functioning properly?
I believe it's doing very well. We've actually been a leader in 911 throughout the state. We've had state officials here many times. When we first started our 911 program, we were definitely the cutting edge of this, and we've kept up with technology. We did an upgrade from the analog to the digital system, and I think we do very well with that.
Okay, because well, I don't want to take this, like I said, to mention any names, but somebody had a real argument, real trouble with this, and I told them I would bring it up to you.
Yeah,
And,
you always are going to have.
there's sprinkle and everything.
Yeah, but I think our 911 system is as good as any in Pennsylvania. I really believe that.
Okay,
We've got dedicated people that are working at the center. We have good management of the center, and we have the latest technology that's available out there. I think the real key is the emergency personnel and the fire departments work very well with the 911 people in management there. The coordinator, 911, the director of emergency management. We've got a good system.
Yeah, I've had to call it on several instances, and I was always satisfied. But like I said, I have a couple of things that a friend of mine's a landowner, and he wants to know why Greene County is flourishing with natural gas right now, in Fayette County doesn't seem to be.
Well, I think they have a different kind of gas than we do, they. Yeah, believe it or not.
Okay, that's
Yeah, Washington and Greene, they're a little better quality gas and that's why they're in those counties. But we're the next county to really take off with that, and it's showing in the numbers. And we have the opportunity for Utica shale wells as well, so that's even a deeper drill than the Marcellus shale. But in the next year and a half, we're probably going to drill 71 wells in Fayette County.
okay. That's the kind of thing that people ask me to ask you. Like,
Yeah, we're on the upswing. It did decline, from about 11 to 15 after I left office
Right.
the last time. But now it's back on the upswing, and it's just a great thing because there's spin-off industries that hire workers. There's workers that are hired through the Marcellus shale.
Well, sure. I fed
Chevron drilling effort.
and I fed a lot of those guys when they were in the area.
They spend money here
Right.
in Fayette County. They stay in our hotels. The royalties that come out are the money spent with the residents to get them. I mean, it's just a great economic impact.
Right. I was wondering. Well,
And I think the
since we
future
brought
is
this up,
bright.
I was hoping this would come back.
Yeah, it will, and I think it'll come back very strong. And like I said, they have a lot of strategic planning that they've done in Fayette County, and you're going to see that. A lot of the wells are, as we speak, a lot of those 71 wells are being drilled right now.
That's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice to know. Okay.
Yeah, so that has a bright future. That's a game changer for Fayette County. And we have tried to work, through our planning and zoning department to make it as seamless as possible for them to get this drilling done. And they have to follow the regulations of the DEP, obviously. But we want to drill, and we want to see this economic impact in Fayette County for many years to come.
Well, with this new, I don't say it's no longer his new presidency, but the presidency that we have, he backed off a lot of he deregulated a lot of the stuff that when they were drilling here before, they had more things they had to worry about than I think they do now. That's why.
Well, I think you have to have a balance there. You have to protect the environment, but
Well,
you
of course.
have to create jobs and economic
Right.
development. There has to be a balance.
Right.
We don't want to regulate them to the point where they don't want to drill here. Then where are we? Then
Right.
Fayette County is not going to benefit from this industry. And we are right now, and that's why we have so many hotels in Uniontown, because there was an anticipation that this was going to happen, and it is going to happen.
Right.
But sometimes you have peaks and valleys with this stuff, and I think we did dip for a few years, but I see it coming back very strong.
Well, we've been I've experienced the peaks and valleys, and the one thing I wanted to kind of address to you, how do you think we can? I mean, I see it happening, but the stigma that Fayette County has, as far as like from the outside. I mean, even if you watch the news, the Pittsburgh news, they'll talk about Fayette County, and they'll kind of roll their eyes, or how can we uplift our image to the rest of the state, or to
Well, this administration that came in, realized from day one we had to change that. We had to change it from within and then work our way to the outside. Some of the things we did right from the get-go is we set the example from the commissioner's office, and we had commissioners' meetings that were very businesslike and very structured to keep them from, you know, being nothing but businesslike, and they are now. And we don't have any embarrassing scenarios, that we've had in the past,
Yeah,
which
okay.
I always tried to stay away from. I was this voice of sense and reason, but we have those now. We took some of the local share account money and we created a Fayette County PR initiative. I'm sure you've seen
I
it.
saw the logo too that you put on Facebook.
We did a branding process that we branded Fayette County with a beautiful logo that we want on every piece of letterhead we can get it on, whether it's a government or a business, to promote the beauty of Fayette County.
I'll show that logo at the end of this.
Yeah, it's really something special, and we took a lot of time on that. And this PR initiative, we're making sure positive news gets across not only to our residents but to the whole region, the whole state. We have the social media aspect of that PR initiative, and we have the traditional press releases that we send out to our radio and our television and our newspapers to try to. It doesn't have to be just government. It could be any really good thing that's happening in Fayette County. If a business has something that they're doing good, we want to promote that. We want to promote our good things that we're doing in government. We want to promote the good things that community organizations are doing to help the county. So we're getting that. They have to hear the good things about Fayette County as well. The bad gets reported all the time, but you have to talk about the good things.
That's it exactly. Fayette County to me is a place that has such a bounty of positive things that we can promote. But the only thing that seems to hit the news would be, how about the Connellsville police scandals, or you never hear anything that's positive. Even rock songs reflect, the Fayette County Fair. Just plug the Clarks. I mean, there's nothing positive. I never hear anything positive. When I now, my friends and I will watch, if we watch the news and there's something happens in Uniontown, and they'll always show, they look for the guy that has, is wearing no shirt and no teeth, and they'll say Fayette County man. I mean, this is the brand that's out there now. This is what, outside of Fayette County, this is what we kind of have to.
Well, I think we have to change it from within, and I think a lot of people. I think things have changed the last couple of years. I don't hear the negative that I heard before.
It's helped a lot. It's gotten much better.
We've done those types of things, and
better.
I think we have to continue to do that. I hope that PR initiative continues. One thing that I'm excited about 6 months ago, I got a phone call from a gentleman from Florida. He said, I'm a TV producer. And I didn't know what to think of it at the time, but I followed up with him and listened to what he had to say. And then I brought our PR initiative into it from the chamber, and we had another call with him, and we listened to what he had to say. But what it ended up being was, this is a public television documentary type producer. And he does a show called On Demand with Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe, the movie star.
Okay.
And he narrates it each episode. And they decided they were going to focus on 8 different counties in the United States.
Oh,
and
okay.
they were interviewing several, but they ended up with 8, and we were one of the 8. And they had been in Morgantown doing some things. I guess they liked what they saw from a view of Fayette County, the beautiful landscape we have, and they wanted to hear more about what we had to offer before they would commit to it. And we obviously had to commit to some things with them, but we actually ended up agreeing to doing the 8-minute documentary. We filmed it in Fayette County. It was a long day of production. We had kind of focus on what they want, what the script was and everything that they wanted us to talk about. But it's going to be a beautiful documentary about Fayette County, and it's going to
When does that come out?
probably come out this summer. It's already been filmed. They're editing it right
That's
now.
That pleases my heart. That's the
Well,
kind of thing that I want
and the exciting thing about it is it's going to reach 6.3 million people in all 50 states.
Right.
So we're gonna, and what it was, the narrative of it was, this is where America started. We talked about George Washington coming to Perryopolis and how he laid that town out, the way he wanted to, and it has a similar look. You think about it, the way that's laid out with the spoke, the wagon spokes. It similar to what Washington D.C. is when you think about it on a much smaller scale, obviously.
Right.
But
Prototype.
But yeah, and we talked about where that Fayette County was vital in the founding of America and everything that in the early years of how the country developed and how it's transformed from each 100-year period and where it is
The
today.
evolution.
The evolution of it and where we are today and what we have to look forward to in the future. And I think it's going to be a good shot in the arm for Fayette County to really get some positive PR, because not too many counties got chosen for this.
Right. A lot of the architecture in this still exists, but so much of it was wasted over the years and taken down in these small cities around here that it's a shame. It's a crying shame when I think of some of the buildings that were taken down. But still, we have all these historical monuments and attributes to this area, which really,
I think that was part of the reason they wanted to come here, because they knew
I
that
imagine.
falling water,
right. But I mean, like you were talking about the
historic
up to Monsville, the first shot of the French-American
Fort
War.
Necessity.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that just aren't utilized. I think a lot of that's underutilized. Now, I'm not saying that should be done by the county commissioner. I'm just saying that that's something that I think the county needs to kind of promote itself with.
Well, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised at those 2 million visitors a year that come to Fayette County. One of the most visited sites is Fort Necessity. That whole French and Indian War theme, the early National Road and how it was built, people come here for that. They come for the recreational tourism as well. You'd be surprised at the number of people that visit Friendship Hill, Albert Galton's home. He was very historic in the whole early years, and he held a lot of key positions in the government. A lot of people come here because of those world-class tourism sites, but they also come here for the natural beauty and the serene feeling they get from being in our mountains. We have a beautiful place here. We have to realize it.
I step right outside my front door here, and I look at the mountain range, and it's Chestnut Ridge, right. It's right in front of me, and I take it for granted. I look at it every day, and I don't even realize.
We have we have beautiful farmland. We have wonderful mountains. We have it all here. If you think about that, we really do.
Yeah. I think all we need is to have our infrastructure, or which you seem to be well on the ways to addressing that.
Yeah, we've come a long way. We have most of our county has public water, more than ever before. Public sewage. Dunbar, during my tenure, has had a major upgrade of where you're at in this township. Sewage. There's been about $10 million of sewage development in Dunbar Township.
I've waited for sewage here for. This place was opened in 1963, and we didn't have sewage till about 5 years ago, and we waited all that time, and now we have sewage, and there's sewage it's.
But that's the kind of progress we've made. Is
right.
what I'm trying to
and
point out.
This is how I'm trying to bring that into you. But before that, we lost a lot of business on this corridor right here. But now I see a C. Harper opening a large dealership up the road by Walmart. I see things hopefully starting to pop up on this particular business corridor.
When I say, like I said early on in the program, we're moving on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Transportation. We have a rural transportation system that's second to none with our FACT public transportation. People don't realize they provide over 20,000 rides a month.
You know, whenever the fact, when the fact bus, it was kind of like when it first came out, it looked like there was only one bus.
There was. I mean, when it literally started out with, well, actually two small vans,
Right.
and it was one little corner office in the commissioner's office.
It was. I don't want to say it was a joke or anything, but you thought, what can that possibly do? You know, what's that going to do? But now, when I go by the complex or the garage, where it's impressive.
Yeah, we have that. That's their home location at the Connellsville Airport, Joe Hardy Airport. We have a transfer station in our county business park up off of Matthew Drive. We have 28 buses now.
Yeah.
And we're going to natural gas for all of them, so which will be a significant savings off
Especially
of not
if they
using.
drill a well, and then you can get your gas for free.
It all ties together. Everything relates to everything else
Right,
in this
yeah.
job. You know, every decision you make affects something else, and
Right.
I'm cognizant of that with all the years of experience I have. But I think that switching over to natural gas will save us a tremendous amount of money, as opposed to diesel fuel and gasoline, and then we can expand even further. We're talking already about, since with all the talk about WVU medicine and Uniontown Hospital, we're going to provide transportation to Morgantown for hospital trips, medical assistance transportation program, and that'll help as well. So we're looking at expanding our public transportation into other states and other counties more than ever before. Public transportation is important. People need help with that, and I've been a proponent of that since I came into office. And the good thing about our public transportation system, it costs the county very little. It's mostly state dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have about a $13 or $14 million budget, and only about 300,000's our match for all that in county funds. So, the proceeds from the lottery and some of the other programs have helped us be able to stretch that dollar a lot further, provide those types of trips.
Now I'm jumping on your webpage here to try and come up with a couple things to ask you that I don't really know readily about. Like,
How you like
okay,
that webpage?
Hey, there it is. Accomplishments. Top Duke Energy.
Yeah, that was an interesting project. That was probably over a decade ago, at least, maybe 15 years ago. I had a high school friend call me. He was an attorney for Eckerd Siemens in Pittsburgh, and he was one of his clients was Duke Energy, and he had seen where the 5 locations that they mapped out for potential development of a power plant. It was a peak type of plant where if you needed more electricity, it would go online and provide it in this part of the country. And the reason they chose Fayette County, as well as 4 other locations, is it had the water, it had the power grid was there, and it just met all the demographics that they needed to potentially build. And when I heard about their interest in that site, we were competing against 4 other locations, I immediately got a hold of Duke Energy officials and met with them and found out what it would take to get them here. And at the time, we had a program called the Keystone Opportunity Zone. We still have it, but it's nearing expiration at this point. But we had about 2 weeks to get all 3 taxing bodies to approve the plot of land that they were looking at for the Keystone Opportunity Zone. We were able to go to the school board, go to the county, go to the local government in German Township, and they all approved it in time. And we got it put in place to give them that incentive to be the location that they picked. And it created about 30 full-time jobs, permanent jobs. But
Right.
the good part about it, it was a $450 million investment, the
see
largest
that.
in Fayette County history,
That's
grown
why I
at
brought
one
it up
single
for you.
project. Pardon?
That's why I brought it up. I wanted
Yeah.
you to talk about it.
And it created 900 construction jobs for a couple-year period when it was being built. So a lot of the trade unions and a lot of our local workforce got a chance to work there to build the plant. So it was a good project for Fayette County. And now after I guess the opportunity zone or Keystone Opportunity Zone is completed, the Albert Gallatin School District gets a significant amount of tax dollars from that site, because it was such a large investment, and the county and German Township.
I don't want to. I'm trying not to make this ask any like real hard questions, because that's not why.
I'm here for anyone to ask.
Well,
No problem with it.
What is there anything planned on the county level about the opioid problems? I mean, I see so many,
Yes.
so many people. I've had 3 people that work for me, not while they worked for me, but after they left here that overdosed, and it tears my
It's
heart
terrible.
out.
It really is terrible.
It tears my heart out, and if people out here are going to watch this interview, this might be a real point why they think that you're the man.
Well, I go to commissioners' conferences. I go to the National Conference of Commissioners. It's called National Association of Counties. I go to the state conferences, and these are major topics that we talk about each time we go. So I was able to get a blueprint for that nationwide on where each counties were. There's like 3,000 counties in the United States. Where everybody was at this point and what they intended to do in the future to help this. And obviously you have to pull in your professionals in the field, Drug and Alcohol Commission and our Behavioral Health Administration is part of it. And these are professionals in the field of drug treatment. And I had seen where other counties were doing strategic plans for this problem. And something very comprehensive that works on all aspects of the problem. So we developed a strategic plan. The commissioners were stakeholders, the drug and alcohol professionals, all the professionals in the social services. We had our Fayette EMS, the ambulance service that's the first responders to this type of thing. We all put our heads together. We come up with a very good strategic plan for this. Started in March of 18. It had 7 objectives to work on all aspects of the problem. And there's many aspects: education, prevention, treatment, law enforcement, to a higher degree on this drug problem. All aspects in those objectives were put in there, and they had specific timelines on when everything needed to be implemented. We've been doing it for a year now since it was developed, and we've seen progress. But one more, if there's only one death, it's one death too many.
But we're treating, and this is what you need. That needs to be done. You're talking about treating the victim, but okay. Let's relate this back to business. In my field here, I hear a lot of people talk, and I know other people that have businesses, and there are so many people that try to get people to work for them, and when they come in, and if there's even a hint that they have to take a drug test, they don't show up. There's so many people that the drug epidemic is rampant, not just in Fayette County. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I'm not pinning that on Fayette County.
I think it's everywhere, but it's here too, and it is an issue we have to deal with. But from that plan that I was saying, we've seen in 2017. These are hard statistics from our coroner's office, and knowing the autopsy rates and everything, what was decided on the cause of death. There were 77 overdose deaths in 2017. In 2018, there were 41, and so far in 2019, there's been 5. So we've significantly lowered that, and that's encouraging. But we have to continue to implement this plan and get it all the way through each objective and time frame.
Now, could that just be the figures because of they're now being Narcaned and brought back from the point of dying, or does that? I mean,
Narcan certainly helps, but we've broadened our treatment. We have detox centers now in the county.
Right.
We have halfway houses. We have residential treatment programs. We have that methadone aspect as well. We have all these different aspects of treatment. So our treatment has been broadened, and it's very intense and very in depth now. And there's a lot of counseling that goes on with this, and we have a great. Actually, people are coming from Pittsburgh to come down to our recovery community because we have such a strong recovery community, and they really work with these people that want to get themselves clean, and if they do, they'll stand by them and be there for them, and they attend meetings regularly, and they help them get through this and stay sober the rest of their lives. So we have that going for us, and we have a strong recovery community. And I've talked to a lot of people that participate in that, and they have meetings regularly. They follow up with these individuals. We actually are creating another position in drug and alcohol to coordinate this plan and coordinate all the activities relating to this problem. And
well, this is
it all starts, with this plan and making sure this thing gets carried out. And I think we're on the right track. We've had a lot of public meetings. We've developed this plan, and I think this plan is going to work. I really do. But you can never let up on the problem. And you got to stay ahead of the curve with what could possibly be the next problem down the road.
Right, anticipation, because
it's a working document that can be adjusted and it's a work in progress.
When we were young, only the most hardcore user would ever think of doing heroin, right? I mean, who thought of doing heroin? It was like, I mean, that was just, that was unthinkable unless you were the. Now it's like an intro drug. It boggles my mind where we're at as a society, and then, but like you said, what are we looking for next? What's the next thing?
Well, that's why I
this
think
isn't what we're here to talk about.
That's why I think that I'm glad we are, because it is a significant problem that I don't take it lightly. I attend these meetings. I've educated myself on this to the maximum I can. But I work with the professionals in the field. They know best. And we do have a good professional group of people in this drug and alcohol and behavioral health organizations and all the social services. I've never seen better work relationships than our social service agencies in Fayette County. They do a tremendous job helping, and they work together. And I trust their judgment, and I think they're doing a good job. They're really trying their best. And they've done a lot over the years with a little. Another thing that we did to help provide Fayette County funding in the future for this drug problem is we sued the drug manufacturers.
I didn't hear that. That's.
We sued them about a year ago, and it's all, and we're working on that suit, and
Big Pharma, man.
We're doing our calculations on how much it's cost the county, so we're going to know what we're going to ask for.
You're putting in all these business parks with all these medical fields, but at the same time you're going up against Big Pharma. That's
pharmaceutical.
Yeah. That's ballsy.
We had to do it. But we weren't the only county that did it.
No, I agree.
There were several in Pennsylvania and a lot in Western PA, but something that the commissioners talked about, the conferences I go to. I continuously learn. I don't care how long you're in office. If there's a subject that needs attention in Fayette County, I go to those conferences and I talk to my colleagues and I find out what they're doing and I find out what works in their county and what doesn't. So I've got a good group to talk to, and we go to workshops all the time and we try to educate ourselves. But that was one thing we picked up at a conference, that hey, we need to do something about this. Let's sue the people that caused this problem, and let's recoup our funds that we're losing. And if we get those back, then we could put it towards eradicating the problem even further. And this problem, I don't know if it'll ever get to a court trial or anything like that, but if it may be settled out of court, but I can tell you we're going to get millions of dollars back.
Well, you know, this.
And that'll help.
brought
That'll
this
help
up.
this problem.
This is. I'm glad to hear that you're being proactive on this and that you're addressing this. I wasn't aware that Fayette County was that active in trying to stop this.
We've got a
Plague.
really good attorney too. They're out of Philadelphia, in New York, I believe, and they're on this. Believe me, they're top shelf in the law, the practice of law, and I think they're going to do as well.
Well,
It's good, and we don't have to pay them anything. It's just they got a percentage
Right,
if they
get a cut.
recoup. Yes.
They
So there's no tax dollars going into
so
it.
they take their 40%, but
No, it's lower than that. I think it's in the 20% range,
Okay.
which isn't bad.
no. Stidle and Stidle, like they say on TV, 20%.
Yeah. I think it's 20. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going off the top of my head, but it was reasonable.
Okay, before we wrap this up, Vince, everyone out there is going to want to know about the Texas Roadhouse.
That's how we got to be buddies.
Well, actually, I think it was you had your Christmas dinner down here in my
Yeah.
my
That was-
establishment.
you got excellent steak, by the way. I got to tell you, I mean, bringing that here had nothing to do with any of the local businesses. It just was something that people were asking me a lot about over the years, and I try to see what other counties have. I think Fayette County deserves to be right up there with the other
I
counties.
don't, I don't look at that as a competition.
You have a niche.
And I'm I'm far enough away. Sure, people travel. The same people that come here for a steak will travel to Greensburg for a Texas Roadhouse
But
steak.
your
so-
steak is as good as any, believe me. I've had it. And, the thing is, I think it's very, very important that we patronize our local, food establishments and businesses. I do it every day. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by when I go to lunch I don't go to a local business
well-
or even in the evening. I believe in that, but I still think that to improve the quality of life in Fayette County, you have to give some options out there.
Well, certainly, and the people traveling by, that's the kind of amenity they look for. You can, when you're going down 119 and you go through the area which is just like any other urban, dare I use the word sprawl kind of spot, but that's where we're at in this country, and they want to see places like Texas Roadhouse, and they want to see places that kind of legitimizes the area.
I did help in that regard. They, for some reason, they only wanted to go on Route 40, in that section between the bypass and out by our business park. But there was a stretch of Route 40 that was, for some reason, had a deed restriction in it that you couldn't put a restaurant. And there was a landowner that wanted to sell his land to them or lease his land to them, and but nothing could happen because of that deed restriction. So, we tried to meet with the people that could lift the deed restriction, were the owners of the was at one time the Holiday Inn, and it became the Park Inn, and it became the Ramada recently. But they wouldn't agree to lift the deed restriction because it was tied to their deed, and that's why they had to be the one to agree to lift it. But they wouldn't do it. They were out of New York, the investors and the owners, so they wouldn't lift it. So I said, hey, you have the option of taking it to court. And that's what the landowner did. And they asked me to testify in court, as to all the development that had taken place around there, which proves how much, the last 25 years, it's just amazing how much development's happened in that corridor up there.
That's one thing years ago they said that you couldn't, now I don't know, maybe they just repealed a law or something, but they couldn't put anything up there near, Mount Macrina, because it was a liquor license couldn't be that close to a religious facility.
Yeah, there was some issues there early on, but I think it kind of got relaxed.
A lot of things change. Well,
I don't think it was relaxed legally. I think it just was after one had gone in, I think it showed that's pretty. It wasn't too bad. They can kind of supplement what the
because I
activities.
just remember years. Well, a lot of those old laws kept this county in the mud. I mean, just wouldn't.
That deed restriction was not good for growth of the county, and so I testified all this place came in and such a date, and this one came in such and such a date, and in the end the judge ruled to lift the deed restriction. So that was my role in it.
Yeah. Okay. Well. See
But
that,
I'm pro growth. I want to see the county develop.
And Bud, you're trying to that you're doing this. I'm going to get this out there before election time, and that's one reason people are according to me watching your Facebook page. I mean, they were hundreds of people that were supporting it, just loving that Texas Roadhouse, and that's
No,
whatever you got to do.
That's a small thing in the whole scheme of things that I do. I spent a couple days on that and got that accomplished. But I put so much effort into so many different things. One thing about a county commissioner,
I want people to see what you do, and that's what we've been talking about.
But I've heard people say, "Oh, that's all he did the last 4 years is get a Texas Roadhouse." It's like, you got to be kidding me. But hey, that's everybody's opinion. But that's just a small thing that I was able to get accomplished, and I think it'll help Fayette County improve things, and I don't want it to hurt the local businesses. Though I never thought it would, and that's if I thought it would, I wouldn't have done it. I think that everything feeds off of everything else, and
Sure.
I think it'll just help bolster our whole economy and lift. Rising tides lifts all boats, right? I heard that saying somewhere.
For example, where I'm at here at Hutch's on 119, the Luigi's used to exist there for years, and we fed off each other. And it's definitely, definitely a missing arm for me without having that other group of facet of people. So when you're saying that everything feeds off of each other, well, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
Every business brings business.
Yeah. And
So-
I hope, I just, that's the way I see it. And, but there were some that didn't feel that way, but a vast majority, a lot of interest there. I agree. That's the most of anything I've ever had on my Facebook page had the most hits.
I couldn't believe it. And I think that's the only reason, I want to do a shameless plug here, but that's the only reason I kind of interceded there, because I had a steakhouse and all these people were talking about steaks.
Oh, you were good about it. There were some.
I tried to be good, but I just wanted to get my name on that page.
Yeah,
So I'd say, hey,
yeah.
I'm doing a little
That's
self-promotion.
Yeah, I would have. If you said something, I'd have boosted it.
Well,
That's amazing. That this Facebook stuff. I'm not a real techie person, but it intrigues me. It's a good way to communicate.
this is going to be on Facebook and on YouTube. And just so you know, guys, I'm having a few technical difficulties. That's why I'm not switching the camera back and forth too much, because my lighting is off, and I'll be able to adjust Vince's lighting. So we've been watching him and not me, because I look great and he looks red.
Well, looks like I have a tan. I'm doing good. I'm kind of pale at this point in the stretch of the campaign.
So I'm just trying to make sure that that he shows up best, because he was gracious enough to come down and do this interview. I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel, Vince, and on my...
Thank you. I like all opportunities to talk to the public. That's important as an elected official. I've been transparent as you can get in this job. I spend a lot of time talking to the media to let them know what's happening in the county.
Your I don't know, what was he, your campaign manager? I don't know what he does now. Joey Ambrose is an old friend of mine.
He's my chief of staff, actually.
Chief of staff. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Good job.
he helped me when I was out of office for 4 years, and now he works for me.
No.
But he devotes his time in the evenings to help me, which I appreciate.
Well, he
He's a
was
good
kind
young
of
man.
instrumental in making this get together. I contacted Vince to see if he wanted to be interviewed, and then Joe stepped in. Joe's he's a buddy of mine. I've beaten him every year in fantasy football. I think maybe but one.
Yeah, he's doing well. He just got married recently,
yeah.
and he says a little one on the way. And
I didn't know that. Oh, that's nice.
He's a good young man. He helps me quite a bit. I'm very lucky.
Yeah. Not more than once, I've been out somewhere with him, and people thought he was my son.
They think he's my son too.
Yeah, like you said, we're in the same age bracket.
My sons are a little younger than him, but I get that question asked quite a bit.
Well, Vince, I enjoyed this talk. I'm hoping that anyone out there listening to this, I'll put this on my Hutch's page, Hutch's Taproom page, HTR on air. It'll be up on YouTube. I might have some other venues we might put this out on if I can get the technical aspect to where I want it, because I'm not pleased with it. But through editing, I might be able to get it up at least up to substandard.
I'm impressed. I think it's nice.
Well,
A lot of good equipment here.
Well, it's kind of neat here in the restaurant. I had this space, and I just something I wanted to do, and this is an area I really have been using. And more people come in here, and I have a nice little library of short interviews, which I'm trying to tie together to put into one long interview, like a collage of people that come into Hutch's. But anybody that wants to be interviewed, I'm enjoying this. I dig this. If you think you could stand up to the shadow of Vince Vicites, you're welcome to come in and try and talk my ear off. But
I like I said, I welcome the opportunity. I want people to know, what I've accomplished, how hard I work. I'm a full-time commissioner. I don't have any other jobs. This is what I do, and I take it very seriously because, I want to see Fayette County be the best it can be. I have two sons that are both in Fayette County. I was blessed to be able
how old
to
are
keep
your
them here.
sons?
26 and 25. One of them is a nurse. He's an RN. My other son works in the trades. He's a journeyman he'll be a journeyman very shortly here next month with the Sheet Metal Workers Union. They're here in Fayette County. They're going to raise their children here, and I just feel so committed to making sure that I do everything I can in the leadership role to make this county better for future generations. I know what the effort that I put forth, but I don't like to brag, but it is that time. It's election time,
Right.
and I have to let people know what I've done.
That's why I'm going to try and get this video out as soon as possible, so anybody that might be interested, and if this gives them a message that helps you, and that's why, this platform is here for everybody. I'm not playing favorites. I'm not endorsing anybody, but you have to come here to do it. And Vince has come here graciously, and I'm letting him talk to tell me what.
I was hoping you were open so I could get us to buy a steak tonight.
You know what? This is Sunday, after my Mother's Day brunch. The Saturday before, we were unbelievably busy, and then Mother's Day. So if I'm kind of babbling, guys, I'm exhausted. We had a big brunch, and I had two tables come in right at 2:00, and they wanted steaks, and they were really upset that I couldn't give them steaks. So now Vince wants a steak. Do you think I should open up Sundays? I don't know. I don't open Sundays right now.
You got to have a little bit of rest. You work a lot of hours, I'm sure.
I do.
And there's certain days that you got to recharge.
Well, this
has been a great restaurant. It's very nostalgic, and the food is excellent.
we've been here 56 years as a family-owned business.
Yeah.
It's been Hutch's since 1992. That's when my father passed away. Before that, it was the Bel Air Lounge. He and my mother, Mary. My mother's still alive. She's 89 years old. She's Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. But she's my driving force, and we've been here 56 years. I'm partners with my brother, Rick Hoke. He's a family man. He just brought in a new grandson, so we're blessed in that sense too. Yeah.
This is a success story in Fayette County, and then there's a lot of people speak highly of you and this restaurant, and I've heard it many times, in my travels, and I'm around a lot in the county. I've gone this campaign so far. When May 21st comes around, I kind of keep a track of where I go during the campaign, and I will have had 100 stops in this campaign so far. So I did the grassroots thing. I really got out there and I met a lot of people and I talked to a lot of people about Fayette County and Fayette County's future, and that's the way I like to get out there when I run for office. I talk to people at every place I can go, every community, find out what their issues are, what their needs are, because then when it's all done, if I'm successful, I'll have a good blueprint to lead, knowing talk to the Connellsville officials. This is what they are doing and what they're looking at in the future and what their needs are. What Dawson's doing, what Vanderbilt's doing, what Perryopolis is doing. I just came from Perryopolis a little while ago, and that helps me to be able to be a better leader, knowing what their needs are and what their plans are.
What people need. This is about as grassroots as you can get on this little interview of mine, Vince. But I got to say, you were prompt. I'm here alone, sitting in here. I was tweaking my equipment. Like I said, it's not. I don't know what's going on with my lighting, but you walked in right at 6 o'clock, and we were doing this at 6 o'clock. So I was impressed with your punctuality.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because I've had a couple people say I'm late every once in a while, and I don't think that's true. Maybe when I have doctor's appointments.
You can't tell. You can't swear by. Tell by me. I'll swear you're right on time. Okay. How about give me your summation here. Tell me what we're going to do with this next 10 years in Fayette County if you're part of our leadership.
Well, my vision is to grow Fayette County as much as we can and keep our people here and give them more employment opportunities. A couple of things I think that would help do that is I think we need to really focus on development of the southern end of the county, now near the West Virginia line. Try to capture some of the development that's going on down there. I've been speaking to our North Fayette Water Authority officials. They have bought the Fair Chance water system. They can have an impact now on that end of the county, which is good. We've been talking to our redevelopment authority, trying to get a plan together to put sewage down there to be able to get something, really started. Some really good development. I've had some developers come and talk to me. One in particular bought 100 acres of land down there, wants to put in a private business park that they would own, and 60 nice single-family homes down there in the development that they want to do. So infrastructure is going to be the key. We have the connection. We've opened that corridor to West Virginia, and I think that's going to help us economically if we can infrastructure it quickly and keep the interest of the developers. I want to broadband all of Fayette County.
Okay.
We have to, years ago, Fayette
ambitious.
County. Yeah, well, we have to. I mean, for us to be able to really be ahead of the curve in development in the future, we can do this. About 80% of the county has broadband access, but what speed is it? We want it to be high speed if we can get it, and we want all of Fayette County. And I think that would open up a lot of things. There's companies that they do their business on the internet. They could come here.
It's a must.
They could come here and they could set up shop because they'd have that opportunity. It would help our schools, would help our medical institutions with any kind of telemedicine. Years ago, we missed out on getting Route 70 in Fayette County, just way before my time. And Fayette County fell behind infrastructurally, and we caught back up now during my tenure with the Mon-Fayette Expressway and the $1 billion that has been, developed here, from the West Virginia line all the way to Washington County. That helped us tremendously, but I don't want to be catching up. I want to stay ahead of everything.
Right.
And I've been following, I've gone to Washington, D.C. and talked about rural broadband. I talk and meet regularly.
5G's coming, man.
Yes, indeed. And I've talked, Representative Pam Snyder is very interested in this. She she's leading the charge on a state effort for legislatively to make this happen. So I've been working real close with her because she represents part of Fayette County. So that's my goal, to see rural broadband in Fayette County as soon as possible. I'd like to see Route 21 become a 4-lane highway. It's a very dangerous highway. The fatality rate is much higher than most highways.
It should be, certainly.
Because it goes from 2 lanes to 3 lanes to 2 lanes, and some of it's 4-lane already. But that could be an economic corridor between Fayette and Greene County, and they're infrastructuring right now along Route 21. So the infrastructure there, we got to work harder on workforce development. What we did the other day with the CDL training at the Connellsville Joe Hardy Airport is going to provide a lot of jobs. They don't have enough CDL drivers at PennDOT. There's a lot of spin-off, a need for water trucks and various things through the oil and gas industry. They don't have enough drivers there.
Dare I say, I know a lot of guys apply for those jobs and can't pass the drug tests. They have CDL licenses, so that reflects part of the problem we were talking about too.
Well, I think CDL licenses.
I'm not trying
it's
to.
a much higher standard for that,
Right.
and
I'm
as it should be.
I'm not trying to make a drawback on what you're saying. I'm just saying that maybe. I don't want to bust your bubble. You're on a roll.
That's definitely an issue that has to be dealt with. But there are good people out there that want good paying jobs that are not doing drugs. And,
Even the people who are doing drugs are good people.
Yeah, I mean, the want jobs that want the training,
right.
and I think that focus has to be there day in and day out. So things like that you can connect directly to very good paying jobs immediately if you can graduate from that training. I think that makes a huge impact, and we have to continue on those things. I think we need more apprentice programs.
The trades.
The trades, absolutely.
Are what this county it needs to be built upon. I think. I really think that it's a blue collar county. We have like a nice population. I think of white collar people that travel to Pittsburgh and live in this county.
And like, if they get involved with a trade, they're more likely to stay.
True.
The college graduates, sometimes they go away to school and maybe never come back. But I think there's so much work going to be around here for these trades in the future that it'll keep our young people home. And I
agree 100% with that.
I think I hope that our educational institutions, the high schools and the CTIs, get together and really push that, because not every young person that needs to go to college. They can get a good job through one of the trades. But we have to make that totally seamless with our trade unions. They have these apprenticeship programs, and they're in need to fill them. And if we can get our educational institutions connected to them, and our workforce development board to make it more seamless and easier to find the people and connect them to the jobs of now and in the jobs of the future, I think we'll improve a lot. We have 1,500 jobs in Fayette County that we can't fill, and I think this CDL thing's going to really help lower that. But we got to keep working at it.
Well, if we do get the natural gas to come back to the area, they'll definitely need the drivers. They'll need the drivers.
Yeah, and we're going to do some Utica shell wells also, and that's just a short range thing. The 71 wells. There's going to be way more than those in the future, and those are the types of things I want to work on. I want to devote all my energy to this job, and I want to make a difference. I'm at work building Fayette County's future right now, and I want to continue on that quest to keep building Fayette County's future. That's something that means a lot to me, to make a difference for this county.
You said a mouthful. I mean, that sounds like what an oxymoron an honest politician would say. because they're, I know, because that's just something you don't hear from today's climate. But I like a lot of the stuff you said, Vince. I really,
Thank you.
I think you were a terrific interview, and I let you do the talking because it's about you and it's about you getting your message out there.
And I appreciate the opportunity, and I think you made definitely asked some good questions. I don't have all the answers, but I'll tell you what, I work well with a lot of entities in Fayette County. I believe in bridging those gaps and collectively working together to get things done. And I think my whole career, I've definitely demonstrated that. I have a good rapport with all the two cities in the county. I have a good rapport with all the boroughs and townships, our redevelopment authorities, our other municipal authorities in the county, our economic development organization. I attend as many of those meetings as I can, and I try to push the county to move. I'm a little bit impatient. I want to see things happen as quickly as possible, and I keep driving those organizations to get things done.
Well, at least
quicker.
you're not sitting on your heels.
No, it's a full-time job. I made it full-time. When I took office at the beginning of my tenure, I said, this is a full-time job. You can't do it part-time. And I've been full-time ever since that, working sometimes 7 days a week, whatever it takes to get the job done. I make appearances on the weekend all the time to help promote good causes in the county that I think that they need to have a commissioner act. I like to spread the goodwill. I was at the Ramp Festival yesterday.
Did you go? I wanted to go. I was supposed to go down there. I was appointed a poet laureate of Dunbar. I solicited that myself. and I
got to meet the Ramp man yesterday.
Oh, was he down there? That'd have been my buddy. Last few years has been my buddy Terry. He's been the Ramp man. So I imagine that was him.
I was up at the summit today. They had an arts festival up there. We have a very impressive art club in Fayette County, and they had all their artwork displayed up there. Arts is a very important thing, for the county.
Yeah, there's an art culture in Fayette County that I'm aware of that's pretty strong. Yeah,
that'll bring people into the county.
Sure. That gives part of that is a boon to the positive image perception I was talking about. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I was impressed with their efforts today, and I go to a lot of that stuff to support them because I want them to continue those efforts, to help the county, and it's the least the county commissioner can do if they go to all this trouble to do all these very time-consuming things and volunteering their time. The least we can do is show up and support them.
Right.
And I try to do that. So. And I do it not only election time. I do it all the time. I'm visible to every community. Thank you.
Hey, good luck, Vince. I enjoyed this. I hope it helps you get the desired effect you're looking for. This is a fine interview, and you seem to be up to the task.
It's up to the people. I've worked very hard, and I've tried to express myself with all the different forms of media, and I hope that they'll consider me on May 21st to be nominated as one of the Democratic commissioner candidates, and then if I'm successful there, we'll go off to the fall, and they'll elect 3 commissioners in the November 3rd election this year.
I've done an interview with Scott Dunn. He's a nice fellow also.
I met him during the campaign. I knew him somewhat prior to that, with his position on Dunbar Borough, and I saw him at the Ramp Festival yesterday.
I'm sure you did. Okay. Well, hey, good luck to you, and
thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
And okay, I'm going to wrap this up. excuse some of my if this doesn't turn out up to my usual standard. I don't know what's going on here, but Vince Vicites, a good interview. I really enjoyed it. We spoke for an hour and 25 minutes.
That long? Wow.
It didn't seem that long, and I let him tell you what he wants you to know about him. So that should help you decide what you're going to do on election day. Like I say, I don't endorse anybody, but I like Vince. Nice guy.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and HTR on air.